Hey there, everybody. John Gums here with Dakota Grappler. Just making a short broadcast tonight, coming in live Sunday. Going to talk just a little bit of wrestling with Bill Holton tonight and basically get you going on what the schedule is for the upcoming week. I'm going to go over to a screen share after a bit and show you guys basically what's happening this week. Well, Bill, it's another week. It's good seeing you.
Yeah.
What's been up over there, Bill?
Well, not a whole lot on the wrestling front. We kind of were batting down the hatches, waiting for the big storm to come. Never really got here. Thankfully, we just got a couple inches of snow, so that kind of stayed south of us. So we were able to enjoy our Thanksgiving and get back to normalcy starting tomorrow.
Yep. Oh, definitely. We actually had a little captain's practice today. Make sure a couple guys can do a little bit of weight cutting and just make sure their weight is okay after all the turkey dinner.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of teams did this week. This was, to me, was the tough is kind of that toughest week of the year. You know, everybody's kind of been down, made weight once, most of them, and then
their mom wrecks.
Yeah, and there's a full slate of duels on Tuesday, and those Tuesday duels are always tough. And then you get Tuesday duels on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. It's a challenge. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, people that are out there, I see we got about 5 people watching us right now. If you feel like you have any questions, feel free to type them in on the side. I did get some questions the other night. And again, if you want to ask a question, I'm still sending out my first load of the hardcover Dakota Grapplers, and I'll show you one of those later tonight also. I've just got those last week on Wednesday evening, so Thursday. Friday, I was starting to get my mailing list together, and they should go out right at the beginning of this week, and there'll be a bunch of them. I mean, they're heavy, so it's probably, several hundreds of pounds of books going out, and the postman will be a little bit mad because they'll be busy. Usually Christmas season come about. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to type them in and ask. Again, I am John Gums. I'm owner and editor of Dakota Grappler. I'm just here to serve wrestling. That's basically I've always considered kind of my purpose, make sure people get the publicity they need for wrestling. It's always been I always thought got the short end of the stick during the wrestling, season when it comes to newspapers and stuff. So, but first thing I want to do is I'm going to make this quick, but I'm going to quick screen share for people. And then I'll have Bill do a little bit of talking. I'm going to show Dakota Grappler here. I've got, let's flip this over here and take you over to Dakota Grappler. And over here on the main site, I'm going to show you something here. Now, up on the top, as you go across the top, we have our main message board. This is where you can get a lot of your information. Just click on the message board. Over here where it says events, those that are still new, go over to the master calendar. Just have to go down one. And when you click on the master calendar, it's going to come up with this. Basically, I'm already at that page, but it's going to come up here. It's going to come up with the events that are happening. Okay, and we have this down here where we have, it says December 2nd, which is Tuesday now, or is that Monday?
That's Monday.
That's Monday. There's actually a duel, Lemon at Hardin County, tomorrow night. So those people, they had a short Thanksgiving break there. They're probably not as thankful as us for all their meals because they probably didn't get to have as many.
Yeah.
Well, so then what I do here is, besides it goes day by day, you can go over to the 3rd. It's got a list of all them, and then the South Dakota duels, North Dakota duels. But if you want to see calendar-wise, you just have to go to this corner where it says agenda. And where it says agenda, I can click and I can go to the month. And I'm hoping all you guys can see this. If you're watching on your phone, I'm sorry it's a little small, but I did have quite a few. You can see how busy the calendar starts here come December. This is the start, official start for South Dakota wrestling too. They're getting their first duels, you name it. We had some wrestling before Thanksgiving in North Dakota. In fact, I got to see a tournament in Minot. But you see here, and then you basically can scroll over the top of this, and it'll say what the different duels are. And so if we then click into here, it'll go just into that individual calendar date also. And so it gives us different options. If you have events that you want to see on there, if I've missed some, now I'm not 100% accurate at all times, but you can see Bowman's at Hardin County also. So you got Lemon, Bowman also there. Got Carrington's at Hillsboro. Now I saw Hillsboro had a ton of forfeits the other night, and so I'm going to see what's happening there. Maybe they had a little they were state champs in football, so maybe they were still coming off the football stuff and getting there into place, because their numbers have never been completely, down as far as I saw the other night. Central Cass is at Grafton, and Central Cass has got a good set of wrestlers back, so that should be interesting to see them. Devils Lake, Grand Forks Central, Wapaton, all at Red River, and so there's a big duel there. Frazee, West Fargo, basically, they're over in Minnesota. West Fargo's getting some matches, in Valley City at North. So Tuesday's going to be a pretty big day for the North Dakota side. And so basically wanted to get that to people to see that there is a good spot on the calendar that you can look and find the events. Yeah,
that's a great place to find it. I know I was looking myself, and that wasn't the first thing I thought of. I was thinking, oh boy, go to the high school activities or somewhere, and you can get all of the results in a pretty good list through Track Wrestling generally. But yep. That's a really easy place to get the upcoming schedule. So that's really a great resource.
Well, I tell you what, Track Wrestling, I find the results, it's phenomenal. I love it. The only thing that I get confused with is when both teams put the results in,
right.
and then it looks like one team stops halfway through, and so you just got to click through a couple more. Or they put the JV on there, which I don't mind that either. I like seeing some of the JV. There are some wrestlers that I just, I know that are there, see if they get any matches. Now, that all depends on, if they've got JV guys that match up weights and so forth. I know the other night, Century probably had 6 or 7 guys sitting there and couldn't get matches against Jamestown. And we had a half a dozen JV matches, but it'd have been nice to have a dozen,
right.
instead of a half a dozen matches. Definitely.
Yeah, I know at the Carrington duel with Oaks really brought a lot of kids, and so there was a pretty good number of exhibition matches. Some actually happened before the match, and there was some that happened after the duel, because there was some Carrington kids that wrestled 2 matches. Maybe there might have even been 1 or 2 there. I think there was one that wrestled 3 matches, but so that was good. A number of Oaks kids were able to get matches and make their trip worth it. So that was it's good. I remember a day, when I was in high school that quite often you'd have a full JV duel before the varsity duel, and that was, I'd love to see that day happen again, but we're having a hard time getting a full varsity duel.
Oh yeah, I tell you what, it's about mat time. You have to get those JV guys matches when all possible. I know that we do anything possible to, let's say if there's a 45 pounder and you got a 52 pounder, and they've got another 60 pounder, to take your 52 pounder and face both their 45 and 60 pounders.
Yeah.
Go one before the duel or one after, or you go the first match and the last match.
Right.
I remember doing a lot of that, going way back. But I tell you what, that's why when you get to these tournaments, coaches are looking for, do they take extras at weight classes, or do they have a JV part of their bracket?
Right.
So
it's important.
Where do you think? Where's Carrington at this first weekend?
They do Hillsborough on Tuesday, and we'll find out, maybe see if Hillsborough has a few more numbers, or that's going to be a really fast duel. And then they go to Velva on Saturday. So that's kind of been the traditional start for Carrington for quite a few years. I was looking at for a long time. They went to the Jamestown. There was the Jamestown Knights of Columbus tournament that was that same weekend. But at some point they stopped going to that and they started going to the Velva tournament. And then that Velva tournament's turned out to be a pretty good tournament. I know there was 1 year, the year that Billy, that my kid was a senior, they went to the Dan Unruh down in Wapaton. Okay. But pretty much every other year they've been going to the Velva.
Right. No, I made my trips across the whole state where I've stopped. I used to do this. Now imagine this. I would wake up, I would leave Friday night usually, and I would stay in either Napoleon or Jamestown, depending upon which way I wanted to do. And then I would decide to drop off some books, stay with a buddy down where I grew up in Napoleon. And then I'd get up early and either get to weigh-ins and drop off a bunch of books, and I'd go to Jamestown. And then from Jamestown that first weekend, I'd drive then all the way, surprisingly, to Wapaton.
Oh,
and then I'd get to Wapaton about, I'd say noonish. and just visit and get some books to some people, and then go from there down the eastern side of South Dakota. And on the eastern side of South Dakota, there was about 4 tournaments. First of all, I'd stop in Watertown as an opening tournament that weekend, and then by the time the evening got done, I would end up probably about the finals. It depends. Probably in like a place like Miller, South Dakota, or in Clark, or in I would end up in about 7 tournaments and get to see it probably about the finals of one tournament.
Oh, that's commitment.
I drop off a couple hundred books here and there, make sure people are getting them.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And then I forget that at Friday I'd also be at Mandan to make sure they got their books.
For the Lions, yeah.
This first weekend's pretty big, but I think now that my boy is at freshman age, I've got this, 4-year window here where the tournaments I get to will be sparing except with the ones that my son's in. But I will be getting books to other people, and you're the perfect example of somebody I'll need in other places to give me some results.
Yeah.
Some happenings.
Yeah, no, that'll be that's the good news, right? That there's more of us can go to these events. I was looking, trying to figure out which events I'm going to be able to hit with looking at the college schedule at the same time, and there are some definite overlaps, but we'll do the best we can.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I'm looking forward to hearing what's happening college-wise. That's my new, because basically I spent 2.5-3 hours last night looking at college lineups and where people are at, especially in who Mary has to face and Minot has to face, and then it kind of matches up what Northern has to face too, because it's all kind of that super region there.
Yep.
And I recognize a lot of names. It's one thing we brought up before, that this is probably one of the biggest times I can remember since probably the early 90s where I saw North Dakota wrestlers everywhere.
Yeah, it's really exciting to watch. I mean, it's fun to follow all those North Dakota kids. I know, I kind of look for them at every open tournament. And there's a couple that are, ones that we won't see very often. There's Lucas Hendrickson wrestling for Carrington, and he's wrestling at Northwestern in Iowa, NAI school, wrestling 149. And it appeared, he's a true freshman, but he's been their starter for the most part this year. I know. I saw him home, at the Oak School the other night. It kind of made me remember. He was at the Mitchell tournament, the D-Dub, earlier, so the boys got to see him there. But so there's some of those that we kind of forget about that kind of sneak a little bit further away, but it's good to see them. I know we'll see more from the western part of the state that ended up in Dickinson, and they kind of wrestled just that second semester, so we'll get to see some of those guys wrestle on the NAI side too. So
correct. That's one team I just started looking to the Dickinson stuff, and they have a good 10-12 North Dakota and South Dakota boys that I can't wait to watch this year too.
Yeah. We actually Northern and Dickinson do duel, so that's a team that I do get to see at least once a year.
Sure.
And we've taken some guys out there to their open tournament in the I think it's in January. But
so what is Northern's schedule coming up?
They have a duel this Thursday night with MSUM Moorhead. So that's it's a pretty good rivalry duel. A lot of these kids have seen each other a few times, either in open tournaments this year and definitely last year. So that'll be a pretty good battle, I think.
You said that's at Moorhead, you said?
It's at Northern this year.
Oh, it's at Northern, okay.
Yep. So that'll be a pretty good duel. I think it'll be I'm not 100% sure that both lineups are completely set. I know that there's been a few injuries, and it'll be interesting to see who ends up in the lineup. But that's always a hard fought duel. So that'll be Thursday night.
Sure.
They do not have anything on Saturday. I think then the following week they have kind of a big duel. They have St. Cloud at home on the 13th of December. So those are kind of the next two big events coming up for Northern. If I remember right, I have to get I'm not sure I have the dates right, but I think Minot duels Upper Iowa in Minot on Friday, and I think Mary has Upper Iowa on Saturday. That will be a good, tough duel for both teams. I mean, Upper Iowa is it's really they're. I think they've consistently been, one of the top 2-3 teams in the conference. Everybody's chasing St. Cloud, but Upper Iowa will bring 10 guys that really, really go hard. So
sure,
those will both happen this weekend too. So
did you get to see the results of the NDSU duel? I saw that they had won 32-9. Did you look at the results?
I did. I actually watched the duel. I missed the first match. Actually, at one they forfeited at 125 again.
Okay.
So there's something going on there. I just can't believe that they don't have a 125 pounder. I didn't go back and look at their lineup to see if they have somebody they don't want to pull a red shirt on or what's the situation there. But they did, not that they were worried about putting a guy out there this week so they don't lose the duel. I think they felt they were probably going to be able to wrestle good with Augustana, but they lost it. So they gave a forfeit to 25, and then Cam Sikora did not wrestle at 133. Okay. But a good, good guy. They have a pretty good guy there that did wrestle, but that Ethan Coda for Augustana is a really tough kid, really hard-nosed, tough wrestler, keeps good position, and he was able to win that match. And then
they had Tyler Jones there, if I remember right.
Yeah, and Tyler's good, so that was a good win for Ethan Coda. And then after that, NSU handled it pretty well. They did not wrestle Mets either.
No, I noticed that at heavyweight, but it looked like pretty much every match they dominated. They were starting to get majors, and basically everybody was putting it to them. I tell you what, Fogarty, I was impressed with him. His tech fall, I know he won 15-0.
Yeah, 15-0 in the second period. He is looking better and better every time. And I'll say that Augustana has 3 really tough 165 pounders. They had at the Jimmy Open, they had 2 165 pounders in the finals, and one of them was the one that wrestled there today. And they have another one that I think at the beginning of the year, Bailey Nieces was. I think everybody kind of figured he was going to be the starter. And he, I don't know what their situation is, but he might be the third man out right now. So and that match was. I mean, Fogarty was just.
There's a couple of the guys I didn't recognize, or I don't know enough about them. I'm going to have to do some research. That Kressel that wrestled, I thought he looked pretty good at 84.
Yeah.
And then that Witzig?
Yeah.
He dominated at 97. I'm gonna have to look where those guys are from.
Right. And they kind of move a couple guys back and forth there at both those weights. I don't know if they're looking to see who is going to be the Clayton Reams at 197 also. He's kind of been their starter. And I think that then they do have a couple bodies at 84. They may still be looking to see, who's going to be the starter, or they may, once the 74-pound match at De La Riva got finished, they may have just figured let's get some of these younger. They weighed a couple guys in at those last 3 weights, 84, 97, and heavyweight. They did weigh in 2 guys at each weight. So
right, because I know that heavyweight, he's been around for a while. That Stribble, he must be a senior, I think.
I think he probably is. I think he was a senior the year that Brandon Metz was a redshirt, or not a senior. He was their starter the year that
he must
Brandon.
Be a redshirt senior probably.
I think
this year.
He probably is. Yeah.
That Fogarty's been around for quite a while too.
He's a senior also.
Senior.
Yep.
Yeah, I tell you what, time goes by quick though. All of a sudden, you think of how old your boy is, and he's gonna graduate, and still, it's time flies.
Yeah, it does. It goes by really fast.
When you're old enough, he's old enough for you to buy your son an adult beverage. for over a year. I mean, that's a tough part. It goes by fast, especially when they're your youngest and they're the baby. And all of a sudden here they are. Actual adults. So no, I'm just impressed because I tell you what, they're NDSU. He's done a great job with the program, and I think he's recruiting well. he's got a hard job. Minnesota's right in his back step here, and they've actually been down quite a bit though. Since Jay Robinson and stuff. I don't even want to get into his controversy stuff, but he ran a pretty tight program, but he always had a ton of coaches, which probably in the last 15 years, pretty much ran the show, but he always organized everything. And so, he's got a ways to come. Iowa, they've stepped it up a notch. Nebraska has got to step it up again. I think a D1. I know several people that have gone down there. And Manning, I know should know the coaches too, but he's originally a Yankton or Vermilion. He's a Vermilion
guy.
He's South Dakota originally. And so you see some of the good South Dakota kids end up down in Nebraska. That Kokish went back there to help coach this year. He's from Wagner, South Dakota.
Yep.
And so it's kind of funny because he's a farmer and he was coaching down in Wagner. And I wish I've never got to talk to him, but I've always talked to a lot of people around that town. In fact, one of my dad's wrestlers, Wayne Shear, he's a masonry business out of Wagner. And he kind of fills me in on what's happening down there. But, they basically came with an offer to him saying, guess what? We need you as assistant coach, and we're going to have you responsible for a weight class, and you're going to wrestle and help him out. And we offer him $65,000 as an assistant coach, and instead of a teaching position, I think most people would go for it. You get to do what you want to do. You get to wrestle. And I tell you, Robert Kokish is a heck of a wrestler for Nebraska.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, really. He really was
3-time All-American, whatever he was. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, he might have been a 4-timer. I don't know. He was tough. He was really good.
That's my college deficiency, remembering exactly. I'm still brushing up on all that.
Yeah. Well, I could be wrong too. It's hard to remember who. There's so many wrestlers every year that now Kokish. That was that bracket that was so tough with him and Storley and Matt Brown from Penn State, and just a bunch of guys that beat each other up all the time. But Kokish, he was really fun to watch. Yeah, he was a good wrestler. So
Storley, yep, another one, South Dakota boy.
Yep. The other thing I was going to bring up was, you're talking about some of those other teams. The other, Northern Iowa is another one that's kind of in the area, and we see NDSU will see them and they'll duel, and so that's them and Nebraska had a really tough duel this last week. Really a good duel, back and forth type duel. So
sure,
kind of fun. NDSU, their next event, I think, will be. I don't think they have a duel in between, but they'll end up out in probably what some people would think is one of the toughest tournaments of the year is out in Cliff Keen in Las Vegas. That'll be next weekend.
Okay.
So that's where we're really going to see where guys like Franek and Cam Sikora and Fogarty, kind of Mets, where those guys are going to fall. These guys that are ranked for NDSU, they're going to run into some of the top 10 guys in the country, I would think. So,
right. Doesn't Penn State and those other guys go down there?
I don't think Penn State's there this year. I believe Ohio State will be there.
Okay.
Arizona State's usually there. Iowa State might be there. They may go to. Well, actually, when I'll say this was kind of a pretty interesting scheduling by Roger Kish. They're not only going the two tough. There's 3 tough in-season tournaments, right? There's the Cliff Keen, then there's the Midlands, and the Southern Scuffle. And the Southern Scuffle and the Midlands are probably the tougher 2 right now.
Okay.
The Midlands kind of seems to go back and forth. And last year, again, it was a pretty good tournament. And those are the 3 tough ones. Well, Kish is going. They're going to 2 of them. They're going to the Southern Scuffle and the Cliff Keen. So,
where's that Southern Scuffle held? Is that in Tennessee or
Chattanooga? Yeah.
Okay.
University of Tennessee, Chattanooga.
Okay, I was trying to brush myself up in that too.
Yeah.
Now, and I don't think they get into their major dual schedule until January, because I think this is their last event until after Christmas.
Sure.
That tournament.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to follow those guys at those events and see how they do. It'll be fun.
Because you got to think of the duels that they get to go against. They go against Wyoming. They'll go against Iowa State. They'll go against Oklahoma. Those are some big
Oklahoma
ones. And then
State.
Oklahoma. Is it Oklahoma
Both.
State?
They should have both.
Okay, yep. And then they'll go against Fresno, which is kind of going to be interesting because I would like to get out to that. That's I think that's region weekend though. It's Saturday of the regions, depending if my boy is wrestling or not. That's a Saturday night. I think in February. I wish that had been state tournament weekend because I know they've got they got like someone like Stanford or something like that.
Okay.
The state tournament weekend that Saturday. So that's going to be kind of interesting. And then they're just loaded. It's fun. Fresno having Troy Steiner being the head wrestling coach out there, got some other interest, and he's developing quite the program. His wrestlers have really taken off. Got to think about this. California is a huge state, and you think of the number of colleges that have wrestling; it's limited.
Right. Yeah, I actually watched Fresno in a duel today against.
Okay. I'm amazed what you can do. That's awesome.
This duel actually was supposed to start last night at 9:00 our time.
Okay.
It was Fresno and Northern Colorado. So those are both two teams that are in NDSU's conference.
Correct.
And the duel was supposed to start at 9:00. They had some problem with the referee that didn't show up or couldn't show up. So that duel did not start, I don't believe, till 11:00 our time. I didn't watch it live. But I did watch it. I did watch it this morning while I was eating my breakfast, and it was a pretty good duel. I mean, it was really a pretty good duel. But Troy's got a pretty good lineup there. It's kind of fun. Not that everything should go back to what we've done in the past, but when Carrington went to the Clash in 2016, 15-16 that year. We wrestled Buchanan, and Buchanan was the number one team in the country that year, and they won the Clash, and they really put it on us. But Troy's got a couple of those guys that were on that Buchanan team wrestling on his team this year. So that's okay. It's fun to watch those guys and say, we watched them when they, Tech Vol, one of our, 3-time state champions, so so when Troy got that job, I was really happy for him. I think if he could just keep the kids home from that Central Valley, he'll have a top 10 type team in the country. I mean, it's, and then go recruit one kid here or there from, Pennsylvania or Ohio or Iowa or wherever else they come from. But I mean, they are deep and they love their wrestling there in the Central Valley. I mean, they have a pretty big following. They have, they get, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 fans, for a home duel. It seems like really a great atmosphere. And I could see, in that duel last night that it was 2 hours late, probably didn't start till 9:00 their time. And, they had a pretty good crowd that's, stuck around. You can't see them all because they have the lights off and the mat light on, and you can't see them all, but you can sure hear them. They were real knowledgeable, hardcore wrestling fans. So.
See, what's interesting is I got to see when Troy applied for the NDSU job, and I saw his application, and basically they make kind of an offer to the school on what they can give the school, and phenomenal. When he talked about, they have to raise money, they have to do, certain things, and he had a great resume. I mean, it was like, guess what? You give them an opportunity, and I know how hard the Steiners work. They're going to do a good job wherever they're at. They're workaholics. They love to be on the mat. They're very knowledgeable, very, intelligent, heartfelt people where, guess what? They make a connection with everybody they're around. So I see them being very successful, and so I can't wait to visit with Troy again. They usually come back and always like to hear how he does with his wrestling team. I will call him and I'll have him come on sometime with us too and visit. I don't know if you ever got to visit with either Terry or Troy. I'll get a hold of him and I'll make it a present for you.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, actually the week it'd be great to have him before then, but it'd be a week like the week that they wrestle NDSU or something like that would be kind of a cool time to have them. But it'd be great to have them before then. They are two of the greatest ever.
I'll email Troy and see if I can somewhat set up a schedule sometime to visit with him. before the NDSU duel. That'd be great to have them on.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to talk to Terry too. I just it's going to sound like all I do is watch wrestling, but I was watching the Women's World Cup. They dueled Japan in the finals, and it's pretty interesting. It's pretty neat when you see this is happening in Japan. And they're the toughest program in the world. But there's Terry is the coach of the women's team, so it's pretty neat to see.
No doubt.
So
well, awesome. Well, I tell you what, it's already been a half hour. We knew we'd make it short. But do you got anything else you want to say tonight? I think we'll visit again. I'll be again on Wednesday night. I have not made a second guest, but you're always invited, Bill. If you can make it, I'll get you on, but I'll also be on.
Yeah, I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be in Florida on Wednesday, but you never know, it might work out. But send me the link if I can get on. I'll get on. I don't know. I listened to a lot of the show on last Wednesday, and I don't know if you talked much about the North Dakota duels that happened that day, but that Century Jamestown duel was one I was following as much as I could as on track as it was happening. And that was a pretty exciting duel that went down to criteria.
I didn't talk that much about it. I talked a lot of South Dakota wrestling, having those guys on.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But we're talking about the Century duel, just a small snippet. I thought both teams wrestled really well. For being early in the season, I thought both teams, conditioning were good. I thought that both teams did good stuff on top where they were breaking people down and starting to get turns already. Very good control wrestling, not out of control. Overall, I was impressed. Century was really out of place with all their weights. They only had one of their 14 guys in the right weight class. They had to bump just because of a couple of people not quite down to the descent plan yet. If you miss your 6-pounder, your main starting 6-pounder, and you bump him up to 13, and he weighs 107 because he can't be down to 6 yet, he looked overmatched. But then again, you got probably one of the best 13-pounders in the state for Jamestown, so he didn't have much of a chance to start off in his first varsity match for young Blake Urson. But the rest of the team, they just had to bump around, and some of the Century's good wrestlers got beat, and that's because Jamestown has some studs in there that are going to be tough. I'm really impressed with what Eslick does. Every year, his guys are ready to face whoever he's going against. Sometimes it's a numbers game, and Jamestown is usually behind, how could you say, the rock and a hard place there, because just the size of the town compared to Bismarck and compared to everything else. But he always has size. He has pretty good numbers, and so he has them ready to wrestle. And I'm excited to see what he does with his team yet this year.
Yeah. No, it looked like
we got lucky with how the dual criteria worked out. And I'd have to look the exact order, but it ended up coming down to who forfeited least.
Yeah,
which is a little bit down on the list. So
I think it looked like it was G. I when I saw that was the criteria, and I texted you and asked it because I didn't. It was that's a brand new criteria this year. I'd never heard of it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So and there's kind of two schools of thought there. I know the one school of thought, they're sure that's why they put it in was any criteria that's after that involves match points. And so, maybe total match points, and then it's takedowns and near falls and all the reversals and escapes and gets to all those. And if you win a match by forfeit, you can't score any match points. So I can understand where that fits in. I also, I kind of look at it as, we've already given up 6 points and we've given up the 6-point part in the criteria. So maybe that's, but I can see it both ways. Yep. I think we have too many weight classes, but that's a conversation for another day.
You and I both. I've said it for years.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, and the Carrington Oaks duel that night was as interesting a duel as I've seen in that gym for a long time. Carrington had 6 open weights and ended up winning the duel 39-36. Gave up 6 pins or 6 forfeits and won almost all of the. Oh, actually, yeah, they gave up. Is that right? I don't know if I had that score right. No, they must have had, because they did put another body in at 38. But yeah, it was really, Carrington ended up getting pins in every match except for one.
Okay. Yep.
And so that was good, but it was, some of those are really good matchups. I think you brought up Michael Clifton before and how good he looked in Minot, and he looks really tough. I think he was ranked. He wrestling guy from Oaks that you have ranked number 4, and got a pin in that match. And so it was really an interesting duel. It was one that I was there wanting to see some good individual matchups, and I really didn't think that the duel was even in play, but once things got rolling, those guys just kept, working hard to get them. So actually, yeah, they ended up wrestling with 5. Yeah, they ended up with 5 open weights. Now that I think about it, because they gave up 5 forfeits, and then they lost a match at 138 by decision, and they lost in overtime at 195 by decision. So. And the whole duel started off at 103 with Trace Hogarth started out. He was behind 5-0 and ended up winning 12-5. And then after that, it was, so every match was exciting, and probably more exciting for a Carrington fan than an Oaks fan in some cases. But they were, they were battling. I mean, both sides were battling. It was pretty interesting.
Did they turn the lights down and have the spotlight?
They did. Yeah, they do that now in the new gym, so it's good.
Okay.
Carrington got the new gym here last year, and
I have not been in the new gym yet. Nope.
Yeah, it was exciting.
I wrestled in the old one.
Yeah,
and I don't know, last name of Miller. I wrestled. Let me think. I should think of his first name, but he ended up being a state champion.
Oh,
yep. For Carrington, I wrestled him in the Carrington gym, and they turned those lights down, and it was like I didn't know what was what a little bit. It was so dark in the old gym. It's like, oh my, spotlight, but it's interesting. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, it's pretty good atmosphere. They had a pretty good crowd, and I know it was on Beck, so there was people watching from around the state, and it was on.
Beck.
And it was on radio stations in Carrington and in Oak. So you got. It
was being replayed tonight on television too.
Oh, was it?
So I saw. My wife went past it and said high school wrestling on the Beck channel, and
good.
then she looked and said, "Oh, it's the Carrington Oaks School." And she says, "I said, do you want to DVR it?" I hadn't watched it, but and she goes, "There's football on." So she's watching a little football right now.
All right. Well, that sounds good. I'll let you get back.
Okay.
And the only thing else I'd say is that, I've had a few people reach out to me, that've been watching, and that's been great. And it's great when you guys get some questions during the show. But if you guys have questions that come up, during the week that you want to send us a private message and something we can talk about, when the next live broadcast comes on, we'll do that too.
Definitely go over to the message board. I should just open one up for conversation points, something that people want to see on the message board. I'll probably do that. But if you have any questions, he's exactly right. You can message either one of us. Find us over on the message board side, and we will bring up any topic, pretty much any topic,
mostly
that has to do with wrestling, and then we'll go from there. But then again, okay, I'm gonna just call it this time. I'm gonna shut her down. But again, this is John Gums and Bill Holton here with Dakota Grappler. We had a great time again tonight. I'm hoping you guys, again, get down there. I know you guys are watching it on Facebook, and you're watching it also on YouTube. Whatever, get into there, hit the bell, subscribe. Still looking to get more subscribers. I can change some features and add some things to Dakota Grappler and send it out more places to get more publicity. And so we're going to keep working at it. Thanks again, Bill.
Yep. Till next time.
You betcha. Till next time. God bless wrestling, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah.